We are keeping it in the family tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There have been a few famous fighting families over the years. We're about to start one. I always gigging in. There have been a few famous fighting families across the years. The Gracies, you might have heard of them. Big Nog, Little Nog, Cardboard Box, Mayweathers, the McKees. But the one that really strikes fear into the very hearts of the modern MMA world is, of course, the Nurmagomedovs. The name is now its own brand. It is synonymous with greatness and grappling and, smashing. You hear it and you know you're gonna be in for a rough night. Yes, this association with those however many syllables, a lot, is mostly due to Khabib and Abdulmanap, but the legacy continues to unfold before our very eyes, and the next leg of the legacy may well unfold tonight. But, plot twist, the Dagestanis aren't the only ones getting a little bit too familiar this evening. Familiar. The guy standing across from Usman Nurmagomedov as he challenges for the Bellator Lightweight Championship also has fighting in his blood. Patricky Pitbull is the older brother of the former lightweight champion and current 3-time featherweight champion, Patricio Pitbull. We've got ourselves a family affair. These two are about to go to war like the Montagues and the fricking Capulets. Only one can survive. That's not true. I just fancy myself the next Ron Perlman, Crikey. If you're watching this video looking for deep insight into the fighting heritage of the Dagestani nation, region, or an in-depth look at Father's plan and Khabib's greatness, then you're in the wrong place, sweetheart. You took a wrong turn somewhere. It's embarrassing, really. I have separate videos on those topics as well as the related topic of Islam Makhachev and his own personal brand of success. I'll link those for you on the end screen because, of course, as Khabib's cousin, Usman has benefited directly from the coaching of the late great Abdulmanap and, more recently, the next generation of coaching from Khabib. So, you should definitely go check those out for more insight and background to what the frick I'm talking about in this video. Aggressive! It's the energy we love to see. The whole MMA community felt a huge sadness when we lost Abdulmanap, one of the greats, if not the greatest. Though of course no one felt it as much as his family. And though his unique way of nurturing human beings will never be replicated, you can't get a lot closer than Khabib. So Khabib now fulfills that role, but also brings in his own experience, perspective, skills, etc., which counts for a lot. The point that I'm trying to make in a roundabout way is that Father's plan transcends one man. Like, Abdulmanap, although taken early, knew he wasn't going to be around forever. So he put plans in place to make sure that the whole team wouldn't go off track whenever that happened. So Usman will have felt great personal loss, but professionally he may even have been motivated, felt a new fuel to really do Abdulmanap's legacy justice, to fight for his memory and protect the idea of him. So it'd be foolish for any opponent or fan to suggest that his performance might be in any way diminished. That's all I'm saying. And another thing to note is it's not as if Khabib stepped in out of necessity, and Khabib being in that training room with the whole team and Usman instead of Abdulmanap is in any way a detriment to them either. Usman and Khabib grew up training together. As the much older cousin, Khabib trained Usman from the very beginning. He's always been that figure to him. It's nothing new, it's nothing that they have to adapt to. Khabib understands Usman potentially better than Usman understands himself. Usman says Khabib knows when he's getting tired, when he knows he's got more in the tank, what he can really do and where he needs to improve. And Khabib has always given Usman the best advice and the hardest challenges. Usman says that after a full training camp with Khabib, a fight is easy. And there are some, like Ali Abdelaziz, who claim that Usman is a better version of Khabib. And that is Usman's goal. He makes no bones about it. He's a finisher, an absolute killer. His wrestling, of course, is top tier, but he's a Sambo expert and a Muay Thai specialist. His jiu-jitsu is really good. He's knocking people out with nasty elbows. He's shown us moves Khabib never showed us. He's exciting. And yes, in this modern world, as a younger fighter, he is more well-rounded than fighters of old. Ali even went as far as to say that he's a combination of Khabib, John Jones and Israel Adesanya, and that is a Frankenstein's monster that I would like to watch step into any cage. In fact, let me know if you were gonna build a fighter from 3 other fighters, which would you choose and which of their skills would you inject into this monster? Let's take a second to look at the other side of the cage, shall we? Now, this is going to be Patricky's first defence since he finally got his hands on that belt. He has stood on the sidelines as his brother got 4 of the fucking things and then basically stepped aside so that he could have a shoe in, a look in, a whatever in, really. It's none of my business. That's got to sting a little bit. And then he has the audacity to say that Usman is only in this position due to his family name. Pot kettle, love. Pot kettle. But he did win that belt fair and square with a TKO win over Peter Queally. And he has some impressive wins to his name. Benson Henderson, Josh Thompson. And he holds the record for the most knockout wins in Bellator Lightweight history. So Usman should be on the lookout for those kickboxing skills. And then there's that shooter box jiu-jitsu. Rolling about with the likes of Shogun Rua and Wanderlei Silva from a young age cannot be a bad thing. Of course, the curious little tinkers amongst us might have been interested to see what happened if Patricio didn't vacate. If he and Patricky squared up, like all official. And though many fighters have family or friends or training partners that they wouldn't ever dream of fighting professionally, this matchup would not have surprised me that much. These two have been fighting each other their entire lives, and notice I didn't put the word play in there anywhere. It was their constant fighting stemming from every small inconvenience or disagreement and leading to a real damage, emotional, physical, relationshipal, that led them to the late great Bruno Govia's gym in the first place. They realised that they needed to stop fighting at home and channel that energy into something more constructive. And these two were born to fight. Though Bruno was a great kickboxer and a great coach, it was clear to anyone that they had real potential. They just needed to be moulded, refined. And Bruno put his all into that for a decade until he was involved in a fatal car accident in 2012, which wasn't that long after the two brothers were signed to Bellator. And for a while they occupied different divisions, with Patricio flying through the featherweights and Patricky struggling with his undersized lightweight frame. And as a dominant featherweight champion, Patricio was given the opportunity to go up a weight class and challenge for the second ever double champ status by taking on Michael Chandler, who held the lightweight title at the time, an opportunity which he took and succeeded at. And then that fight became a little bit more of a possibility, but it never came into fruition, despite Patricio's famous short fuse and apparently continuously being angered by how calm Patricky is. They do have that brotherly bond after all that would prevent them from stepping in that cage and really going to town on one another. And perhaps similarly to many a Dagestani story, that bond was forged in trauma. Patricio and Patricky were super young, like 5 and 6 or 7, when there was a large-scale jailbreak near where they lived on the outskirts of Natal in Brazil. The worst types of people, including a serial rapist, were on the loose, and the family were targeted due to a rumour about Patricio and Patricky's father being in possession of a bunch of guns. Their small isolated house, where 10 of them lived in just 2 bedrooms, was broken into by multiple bandits, and Patricio and Patricky's mum shot one of them right between the eyes in front of her youngest son. Patricky spoke of it, saying that it was a night of terror that he'll never forget, and apparently Patricio still is unable to sleep alone. But they both say that it did one great thing for them: they will never fear a living man as long as their eyes are open. But while Patricky may not fear Usman, he would be unwise to look past him. Usman isn't one to play with his food like his cousin might. He likes to get the finish, and all but 2 of his professional MMA bouts have come via TKO or submission. He's shown us arm bars, rear naked chokes, guillotine, but he's also shown us TKOs through punches, elbows, and knees to both the head and body. There are so many places that Usman could take this fight. And it's not as if the presumably higher level of competition that he's faced since joining Bellator has slowed him down at all. After just one decision win, he went on to secure 3 first-round finishes, propelling him to the top of the division. Now, the danger with Patricky is his knockout power, so Usman needs to use those leg kicks to slow Pitbull's movement and body shots to wear on his cardio, as well as do what he does really well and manage distance in those early rounds when Patricky is at his most dangerous. And he would be wise to implement a grappling game to wear on Pitbull and, again, reduce power and danger that way. I reckon Patricky will go in hot, looking to get the KO early doors, but he needs to be smart when closing the distance. Usman can be really heavy on his lead leg, so leg kicks again for Patricky would also be a smart move. And if Usman level changes, Patricky has a nasty flying knee and or uppercut to throw in as a deterrent or even a fight ender. They may have animosity, but perhaps only because these two share a few striking similarities. Born with the urge to fight running through their veins, brought up around violence, and they both even lost the coaches that helped them to challenge their energies, their urges into greatness. It's a fascinating case study, and in just a few hours for me and seconds for you, we get to see what happens when these 2 equal and opposing forces come together. Patricky was supposed to fight Outlaw in July, but had to pull out due to an injury, so we'll see if that kind of surfaces at any point during this fight. Look out for those those kicks, the high and low kicks from Usman, as well as devastating knees if he gets into the clinch. He hardly has any tells when he's throwing. It is just so fast. Kicking comes to him like a fish breathing underwater. Usman has a lot of confidence in his wrestling, so he almost just like puts it on the back burner, knowing that he can lean on it at any time. He just prefers to stand and strike, and the fans absolutely bloody love him for it. But I wonder if his coaches love him for it. We know that Mendes would always encourage Khabib to implement his wrestling and not try and prove anything on the feet by shouting father's plan at him, and we've also seen Khabib, who's apparently not even in the corner. I don't know, But we have seen him previously get super mad at Usman for not following the game plan. As well as liking to strike, Usman is very, very good at it. He does have power in his hands that his opponents shouldn't overlook just because the Nurmagomedov name isn't synonymous with knockouts yet. But we're not really seeing his hands come into play at all. But he is managing this distance so well, and those kicks are really building up. He's so slick from both stances, like so effective. Moves well in both stances, and he's really effortless in how he mixes up his attacks. Oh, finally something from Pitbull there, almost 4 minutes in. Like, Patricky hits hard, I said it before, I'll say it again. He always has. He tends to do his own hands as much damage as his opponents, and he's got nasty kicks which we're not seeing yet. He's explosive, which he's not managing to implement yet. He likes to hold the centre and dictate the pace, and we're not seeing that. It's all kicks, and it's all Usman's side. Usman is really good with that jab as well from either stance. Oh, there he goes. Did you see that? Using that counter left to set up the takedown. Stunning. Patricky is a great grappler, but he's not really a submission threat, and he's not looking too dangerous from the bottom here. Now, Usman started freestyle wrestling at a very young age, as they do, but then he wanted to be just like his big brother Umar, so he turned to Muay Thai, and then he moved to train with Abdulmanap and Khabib. Oh, those elbows are fit. But you know, I am partial. He is tying him up like a roast ham. Oh, can he get the sub in the last second? No, but that was gorgeous. Yeah, Patricky managed to defend that takedown, but he is getting picked apart on the feet, so is he really any better off? Now, Patricky obviously has the experience. He's got double the number of KOs, 3.5 times the number of decision wins, whereas Usman has the lead pretty dramatically in terms of submission wins, and Patricky has lost almost as many decisions as he's won and been KO'd 3 times. Now, neither fighter has seen the championship rounds before, so we're going to see how youth and the work he has already put in to wearing down Patricky's gas tank benefits Usman potentially now. Usman's just so beyond technical, mechanical, like how tight his guard is, really protecting against the power weapons from Patricky. He's got super snappy slapping leg techniques. He's just so precise. He's almost programmed. Another takedown defended. That's got to give Patricky some confidence. He's still just taking so much damage, especially to those legs. Gorgeous combination. Pitbull is wearing that. Let's not forget what happened at the UFC last weekend. Fighters like Patricky are never out. They're never out until it's over. Pace, it looks like Usman's not throwing anywhere near as many kicks as he was at the beginning, but his movement still looks good. He still looks quick on his feet, little springy sausage. Look his face, he's loving the pressure. Double jab into a takedown. That setup was astounding. Look at that leakage. Patricky's gonna need to pull off something big, boys. Threw him like an old hairy rag. Pitbull with the reversal. Ah! Look at that power from Usman. Get off me. Just get off me. Absolutely not. Patricky needs to go wild now if he's gonna keep this belt. Oh, look at that movement. What a cocky little shit. He ripped that belt from him easy. Like a wax strip, but one that you've freaked out a little bit and then you soaked it in water for a while. So it just kind of slopped off, you know? It wasn't even competitive, he just glided through. That's the Dagestani formula. If a secret juice beyond anything that Paulo Costa could comprehend. So following his dominant performance over Peter Queally, Benson Henderson was quick to stake his claim for the next title shot after this one. Now, with Patricky having the W over him already, he was kind of hoping he'd be able to avenge that, but he's just as happy to fight Usman in Russia. That's what he said, which isn't going to happen, but still, we appreciate the sentiment. Now, AJ McKee has also challenged Patricky, so maybe that's next for those two. Actually, Patricio asked him not to take that fight because AJ has a win over Patricio, and even though Patricio went ahead and avenged Michael Chandler's win over his brother, Patricio's like, no, I want to get the win back myself. Don't you dare go near AJ. So, one rule for one, Pitbull. What do you think? It's a dialogue, babe. Let me know in the comments about that Frankenstein's fighter. Let me know who you think each of these should square up against next. Let me know if maybe that's it for Patricky. It's Patricky to rock around. And check out all those like Dagestani warrior videos that I mentioned at the start. If you enjoyed this one, even if you didn't, they're different. Make sure to like and subscribe. I don't know. You can hang out with me every day on Instagram and Twitter. Those links are in the description. And I'll see you next week for a little chat about Wonder Boy versus Batman. Sounds stupid, but it's all true, baby.